Keir Starmer is gearing up to launch a crackdown on immigration.
Plans include tougher rules to stop foreign students accessing long-term visas by working in low-paid jobs, for example, as care workers or shop assistants.
But despite this, net migration is rising and asylum claims are still at record levels. Since January alone, 10,000 small boat migrants have arrived.
So will Labour make good on their promise to crack down on it, or is it just a bid to ward off the threat of reform in this local council election week? Let's get the thoughts of political commentator Aman Bhogal on this one. Aman, good morning. Lovely to see you.
Good morning, Eamon.
Do you know, I'll tell you where I have a problem with this, Aman. For instance, I was out at the weekend and everywhere I went to, there were people from Serbia, there were people from all, non-European countries. But the thing is, they were all working in jobs, they were all highly educated, they talked really well, we needed them doing those jobs. And I sit and think, what is your problem? What do you mean you're going to stop people doing these jobs? Because no one here wants to do them.
Well, good morning, Eamon. Well, look, this is more smoke and mirrors from Labour. We've heard it all before a few weeks ago. Look, the truth is, Eamon, we have in this country 9.4 million people who are economically inactive. We have more people drawing from the state than paying in taxes. It is economically unsustainable. We cannot have more cheap foreign labour being exploited by unscrupulous employers who will generally undercut any hope of any local worker wanting to do the same jobs. Now, the truth of the matter is, Eamon, Labour are stuck in this pincer moment. One side, you've got Reform holding their feet to the fire on record number of illegal migration and net migration. And of course, on the other side, Labour are stuck facing sectarian politics, which they have fanned for so long with their identity politics. So I think it's very difficult to believe the Prime Minister and Yvette Cooper when over the weekend we saw they were now going to go into business with the gangs by renting houses of private landlords paid for by taxpayers' money to house illegal dinghy dwellers. We've had more than 30,000 cross the channel under Labour. Now, of course, the other big elephant in the room is legal migration. It's all of low-skilled, low-paid jobs and people who are coming into the country using the education visas as a soft route to settlement. It simply cannot go on.
Have you been getting a load of spam in your email recently? What about random calls? It's really annoying, isn't it? Data brokers are out there collecting your personal information. Anything from your email, your full name, your address, and even your political affiliation. Cyber criminals can even use AI to mimic the voices of friends and family to trick people into sending them money. And it gets even worse. People out there are getting huge loans taken out in their names without even knowing about it. But don't worry, because the sponsor of this video, Incogni, can help. They reach out to the data brokers on your behalf and request that your information is removed from their databases. Incogni continues to make sure that your data is removed automatically from the internet via repeated removal requests. So, how can you get started? Well, step one, hit the link in the description, create an Incogni account and tell us whose data you'd like removed. Step two, grant Incogni the right to work on your behalf. Step three, sit back, relax, and watch Incogni work. They will update consistently so you know when your data has been removed. Incogni is risk-free for 30 days, so you can try it for yourself and you'll get a free refund if the service isn't for you. So take back your personal data today with Incogni. Use the code GBNews using the link in the description below and you'll get 60% off an annual payment plan.
What do you make of the timing of all of this, Aman? Because, of course, the government would say that these plans have been in progress for a long time. But do you think this could just be a knee-jerk reaction to what Labour is expecting will be a bruising local election this week?
Well, yes, indeed, Ellie. I mean, look at the polling. I think Reform have gone, nearly doubled their vote share, what they got in the last election. And of course, Labour are feeling this heat. But as I think you said, it is pretty much a knee-jerk reaction from Labour because, let's be honest, they've had 14 years to develop coherent policies that people really want as answers to the problems we face. And yet we have this sort of, ramshackle, make it up as you go along a type of approach from Labour. But the real proof of the pudding is in what they've actually achieved. And that is, we've had a record number of people breaking into Britain. They've extended the migrant hotel scam by another 5 years. They've leveled up the money being given to illegal asylum seekers to spend on legal aid paid for by the taxpayer. And now they want to go into business with the gangs by making it even more of a pull by providing private houses.
Just leads me back to this whole question. We can see the problem with the illegal migrants. Yes, everybody gets that. Why pick on legal migrants, people who are legally here to work in jobs that we can't fill?
Well, we can fill those jobs, Eamon. It's just that we haven't had enough people being encouraged to do those jobs, because partially, a lot of those times, those pay brackets have been undercut by cheap foreign labour. Secondly, let's not forget that every single legal migrant that comes into the UK puts pressure on local public services, housing, which is already a huge issue for anyone wanting to raise a family and move into their own place in terms of being able to afford it. And of course, let's not forget the whole idea that we can have this Ponzi scheme. It's a scam, because over their working life, an average low-skilled, low-paid migrant is going to be a net draw on public expenditure and public services. It's unsustainable.
Aman, thanks for getting us all thinking about that. Are we talking to you again, Aman, later on today? No, we're not.
No, we're not. I think, yes, this was the morning hit of what matters to Britain.
Right, what matters? It does matter to Britain. You know, man, I remember I joined Ulster Television when I was 19 years of age, and at 22, from 19 to 22, I was still working in my bar job that I had. So I was presenting the tea time news. So I'd suddenly say to people, that's it, we'll be back tomorrow night, 6 o'clock again. This is a programme called Good Evening Ulster. And eventually my bar manager came to me. I was the under manager, and he came to me and he said, Eamon, what's all this business? You're serving them up the news at 6 o'clock, and at 7:30 you're serving them up pints here in the bar. What's that all about? I said, Pat, this TV business, it probably won't last. And he pulled my bow tie and he said, it'll last. And that was the end of me there. But my point is this. My point is that I wanted to do the job, and I felt the job was a worthwhile job doing, and I thought I had more chance being a barman than being a television presenter. And I just don't understand why anybody wouldn't want to get in and become, make that a full-time job, working in the bar, managing a bar, for instance.
Well, indeed, Eamon. I mean, look, the dignity of the pay packet has to be the biggest, lift up, for anyone wanting to build a life. And of course, let's be honest, we need huge reforms to social welfare that trap a lot of people into not wanting to do a job because, well, it doesn't pay as well as the benefits packet. So I think, look, you're an inspiration. This is exactly the type of thing that we need to encourage our younger people to do. I think it's fair to say, just yesterday we saw 1 million 18 to 24-year-olds are not in education or employment or training. And that's a real indictment of where we are as a country in terms of getting our next generation ready to go out there and build lives and build local communities and work hard.
Aman Bhogal, always good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Likewise.
much.
Thank you, Ellie.
For your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you very much indeed, my friend. Thank you. Yeah.
An inspiration.
No, but I just don't understand why people don't want to work, why youngsters today, a lot of them don't want to work in the supermarkets, don't want to work in the bars, don't want to do waiter jobs as food waiters and things like that. How else do they earn money?
Yeah, well, you just heard that 1 million of them are not in work or any form of training or education.
When you were young, before you went into journalism, did you do a job which earned you a few
I've
quid?
worked since I was 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did
Fancy
you do?
dress shop. I worked. It was my first job.
Yeah.
Then I worked at Boots on the counter.
Yeah.
And then what else did I do after that? And then I was a waitress in a cafe. Yeah, I've always worked.
I totally agree with you, and I look at you and I think, yes, that's how you earn a living. That's how you get on in the world. And who knows where that life and that job is going to take you. you know, and eventually you got a career path which brings you to Rome on a Saturday for the Pope's funeral. I mean, that's a career highlight. That's incredible. But that's from working in the counter at Boots.
And that's where you get your life skills from.
I
you learn to talk
totally
to people.
agree with you. So the youngsters today, none of them will be out of bed, but what do they do? How do they earn money? How do they get cash? I mean,
Mummy and Daddy, I think.
Well, I used to really just clean my dad's car on a Saturday, you know, and I used to say, Dad, well, can I clean your car while I do that? And you're thinking, right, there's going to become 10 bob at the end of this or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you would do those things, but I don't know. What do you do?
Let us know. gbnews.com/you'll say.